coming at you with another brush review, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm Kendra Morgan Official, and if you're new here, thanks so much for joining me. If you like content centered around single eyeshadow tutorials, makeup brushes that aren't Morphe or sunscreens, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and let's get started. I have for you the Colourpop Stone Cold Brush Roll review. This has kind of been requested, kind of like feeling like, you know, I'm famous. Anyways, a few people have asked, is the brush roll set worth it? Let's go through and find out whether it is worth it, because that is all very relative and is dependent on you and your preference and your type. Colourpop sells this brush roll. It is for, I believe, $24 on the website right now, but we are approaching Black Friday sales. I just kind of want to go through. Guys, I really do apologize, but I'm probably not going to put any B footage in because my laptop hates me when I do that. I just don't have a very good laptop for a lot of B footage. So I'm going to try and make this easier on myself and just kind of run through each of the brushes and just show them on the eyes and kind of how they look, but not put any of the product on my... Let's start out with some of the face brushes and see if you guys really like them. I started out, I used the F31, my nose itches. So I started out with the F31 face brush. Sorry, I needed some go-go juice right there. But this is the face brush. I used it to buff and blend in my foundation. Let me back up. This is a collection from my 2A hierarchy of brushes. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to go ahead and link my brush classification video in the... Is this right? No, this is right. I don't know. Yes, this is right. Excuse me. The I and down below. And you guys can go check that video out afterwards. But basically what I mean by that is this is a synthetic haired blend brush set. It can be bought individually as well as in a set. And that's what I'm going to be comparing it to the best of my abilities. So 2B would be natural bristle brushes. 3 would be Fude/luxury brushes, so on and so forth. But go check out that video. It's like 7 minutes long, and I made a brush classification just because I felt like it. I used this to buff and blend in my foundation. It worked really great. I have to say it gave me a little bit of patchiness, but sometimes this foundation that I'm using right now, which is the NARS, it does kind of give me a little bit of fits if I don't mix it with something a little bit more thinner, because I generally will mix foundations just to get my perfect shade, which is why you never see any lines of demarcation. I'm just kidding. Sometimes I come on screen and I'm like, whoa, that was not a good match that day. But anyways, I buffed and blended it all over the skin, had no issues, had no problems with that. Then from there, I did set underneath the eyes with the Colourpop F32 face brush. I thought it worked really good. It's that perfect tulip shaped brush, and it fits right underneath the cracks and crevices of your eyes. So really beautiful. I use a lot of cream products, so being able to target powder right where I need to, you know, to start out with is extremely important to me. I then went ahead and applied some cream contour, some of the ABH Fawn cream contour, and I buffed and blended it in with the F30. Don't know why my camera is still doing this. Look at that, look at that. Why is my shutter doing this? I have you on manual. But anyways, I buffed and blended that in, and it just, look, it fits really nice for my big old fat cheeks. Really nice. And then right underneath this jawline, it's cutting and carving, folks. See that? That's really nice. These brushes work excellent. Spoiler alert, these work great for cream products, and I'm very happy to have them. I also like to use cream blush, so I use the Milk Makeup blush, and I just put it on the back of my hand, then dab this brush in there, and then just stamp it on. Oh, that's where that black, I need to wash these already. So and then just stamped it on there, and you can see like just one stamp right where you want it. That's pretty much going to give it to you right there, folk. And then you just gonna kind of work it and blend it out. In fact, I might even have some, yeah, I still have some product on there. Really great brush for that. I then moved into powdering all over the face and adding a little bit of bronzer. So I used the F28 and just kind of did like a light powder all over the face. And then I went ahead and dipped in, swirled into my Hoola bronzer and applied some of that. And I don't have any harsh lines of demarcation. Everything blended very softly and smoothly. Actually, I think I went back in with this face brush right here and just put a little bit of my contour right in there and just kind of sweetened that little note up. I really, really appreciated the face brushes because I use a lot of cream products on my face. So if you use a lot of cream products on your face, then these brushes are going to be it for you. I do want to say that they are sold individually, but they don't have this look to them. They are white with just a silver. It's not a gunmetal gray or anything like that. But I believe you can get all of these cross-referenced and just purchase just that face brush or just that eye brush. I could be 100% wrong, but somebody told me that these weren't anything that's new added to the collection. Like the Bare Necessities brush roll is, this one's not, as what I was told. I didn't cross-reference check every single brush in mine versus the website, and I do know that Colourpop's out of stock on most of their brushes, so check back. I know that they're opening back up for Black Friday, and they're restocking a lot of stuff. They've already posted that on their Instagram, so go check them out. Next, I want to move into the eye brushes. Oh, we've got one more face brush here that I want to mention, and that is the my son got a hold of this one, I can just tell. But I use this for highlighting. Works really, really nice. It's a very, very nice, soft, sheer application that you're going to get. So it's just really, really soft and sheer. It's not going to be your, natural bristle fibers coming and picking up a lot, and, you're really worried about that landing strip or stripe. It's going to be very sheer because you won't pick up a whole lot of product with these synthetic brushes. So that's kind of nice. They're very beginner friendly, so you're not like putting a lot of product on and really like making it heavy and hard to live with. This E24 is really a good brush. I thought it might be for cutting the crease, but unfortunately, folks, it's just a little too bendy, not quite enough. It's just a little bit too flimsy, and it's pretty thick as well. So, it's okay. It's more of a just, you could swipe a brilliant shimmer all over the lid and be done with it. That's the E24. The E22, let's talk about that one. This is the one and only brush. I can't stress enough. Nobody can seem to make it to where it works. And I don't know if it's just because I'm so used to my natural bristle brushes blending out, and this is where I bring my own bias in, and I'm sorry. If I never used any other brushes before, I could probably tell you like, oh yeah, they work okay, but I was picking up shadow, and I mean, I'm going like this, guys, just to, like try to get this to buff and blend into the lid. I just couldn't do it because these don't really pick up a lot of pigment, which is normally okay, but I was like ready to go and get on camera and start, doing my thing, and I'm over here like on my 6th dip in the pan. So this one, unfortunately, not going to be a huge recommend, but I don't know which one I would recommend in its place. I don't really like the Sigma E20, E35. Not a recommend by my book. The Wet n Wild P20, not much better, but it is pretty close in size to the Colourpop. This is not very dense at all. This is quite a bit denser. So I think if I were a betting woman, I would go ahead and invest your money into a P20, although these are like $5, so they might be cheaper on Colourpop, but they're pretty much similar. Again, not something you'll ever see me like get on camera, and if I can choose any brush in the whole wide world, I would recommend these for a blending brush. But for the sake of argument, Lamora has a set on Amazon that they sell, and it kind of does mimic a really nice, they're pretty scratchy though. They're like $14.95 last time I checked. I'll link them down below in the D bar. You can check them out. But it's like a 4-piece blending set. They are very cheap. They don't last too long at all. But if you were just starting out and like, let's say you only wanted to invest in the Colourpop face brushes, you could pick up these eye blending brushes and you would be set. So $14 plus, the 3 or 4 face brushes. You'd be set to go. The last one I want to bring attention to is the Essence Eye Blender. It is also synonymous with the Wet n Wild blending brush. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. You know, that Dollar Tree find that's like, it's $1 and it's the Wet n Wild brush. It's not this one. This is from their Pro line. I let my kids play with it because it's $1 and I let them use them as paint brushes. But anyways, I have this guy. It's an Essence Eye blending brush, and it is, you know, same thing. All of these do the same thing. They're not my favorite. I don't reach for them very often, but I will tell you this. When I'm using the crazy colors and things of that nature, and if I'm not sure if it's going to stain my natural bristle brushes, I'll grab one of these. That's what I use them for. But other than that, like, if you were wanting a brush, I would say it suffices. You're going to have to put a few extra dips into the pan. It's not going to give you a wash of color right off the bat the way you probably want it to. Or if you watch a lot of makeup tutorials and you see them just go in with 1 or 2 dips and put it all over the lid, it's not gonna happen with this brush. I'm sorry, it's just not. Let's talk about the E25. Now this one is great for swiping all over the lid. It's what I did to swipe all over the lid. It works really great. I do recommend you spritzing your brush first in order to pick up the shimmers, because again, like I said, these are synthetic. They're not Taklon. They're just a nylon, and so they don't have the mimic of the cuticles. And so you really, like, unless you're just like digging into the shadow, and that's what's basically sticking on there, is that force that you drove into the brush, it's going to be really crumbly and cakey, and it's liable to kind of fall off. So spritz your brush, and then you can wipey swipey and good to go. Again, not another brush that I would recommend if you already have natural bristle brushes and you wanted to pick this brush up. You're not going to be satisfied with it. But if you don't have anything in your collection already, this is a great starter. This right here is a really good blending brush though. I find that with darker shadows, you know, those mid to upper dark shadows, you barely want to tap in and get any pigment and put it on the lid, and this picks up the perfect amount. Sometimes with my natural bristle brushes, it goes too much too fast, and then I'm blending for days and days on end. But this doesn't pick up very much, and then it just sits right nice and tight in that crease, in that lower V, and just blend to your heart's content. That's what this brush is for. So actually the E27, she good. Good to go. Last 3 brushes are very like detail blending brushes. So this is what I use for my inner corner highlight. Does a wonderful job. Again, you're not picking up a lot of shadow, so you know, you can just kind of swipe in there and then just apply. You can see how well it fits right underneath that brow bone and inside that inner corner right there. Beautiful brush, have no problems. That's the E29. The E26 is a little bit shorter of a version of the E25. Let me go ahead and give you guys comparisons here so you guys can see. Oh, my diffuser stopped. That's all right. So you guys can see right there, it's just a little bit shorter. This has a little bit of blending capability, so if you just wanted a sheer wash and then just to bring it up, you would have that with this. This one's not going to do that for you. It's almost verge of like cut crease in it. It's just not quite thin enough yet, but it's pretty stiff, and so you could, if you wanted to, you know, like fill in a cut crease, it would get right nice and tight up in that line with a nice shimmer or your favorite matte shadow. You know, again, you're going to have to kind of get in there and use a little bit of force to get that to pick up, because nylon bristles just don't pick up product. They don't have the cuticle like the natural hair bristle brushes or the Taklon, like the synthetic made brushes. I know that Sigma does that. They actually formulate their brush hairs to pick up product and emulate a natural bristle brush. So there you have that. Last one is the E28. I'm not sure if I've used this one yet because it is very similar to the E27, and quite frankly, you know, you can use them almost interchangeably. I don't want to say use them interchangeably, but they're very, very similar in size. Here we go. So they're very, very similar in size. I think this, if you were not, if you were not a person that could use the paddle, that would also make for a great inner corner highlight. So there you guys have it, the Colourpop brush roll. Let's go ahead and go into and wrap up and complete my final thoughts on the brush roll. The Stone Cold Brush Makeup Brush Roll retails for $32, $32, and then they do have site-wide sales frequently, so don't don't feel like $32 is what you're going to pay. That's the most you'd ever pay. But you can always find a 10% off code at least. So that brings it already under $30. And that's the worst. But I've seen them give you site-wide 30% off, site-wide 25% off. I wouldn't surprise me if I found the Stone Cold palette and this brush roll for maybe like $40 or $42 or something like that. I'd have to do the math, but you know, they really do have some sensational sales quite frequently. So I think that this would be a recommend for my 2A collection. And I say that because faux leather, it's sleek, it gets dirty super fast. I just really like it. It's gonna be an easy brush set that I can just throw in my kit and take with me if I know I've got like a 5+ clientele that I'm working with that day, which is very rare. I do makeup like on the side just for fun mostly, so it's not like it's a moneymaker for me. So having that as an option is just really nice, alongside some of my natural bristle brushes that will sit really nice. And also I do want to recommend them over Sigma brushes. I know Sigma does recommend or does have a lot of frequent sales, but I just want to say that Sigma brushes were my first big purchase of brushes, and I could never have been more disappointed in that set that I asked for Christmas. It just didn't meet my expectations. I found myself blending all the time. These brushes I do as well, but they're not so pricey that you feel like you expect them to really do the job and do it well. So I hope that answers some questions. This is a brush set that I would recommend for any up and rising makeup artist, as well as somebody that just needs to get up on their feet and get a good makeup brush set. That's who I'd recommend them for. And for my vegan cruelty free friends as well, I recommend this brush. If you guys found this information helpful, make sure you subscribe to my channel. If I'm your vibe, subscribe, and guys, I can't wait to see you in my next video. I'm out like sauerkraut.